back, Movie Maniacs. I'm your boy and your host, Mike.
I'm your co-host, Juju.
And this is Mike and Juju's Movie Corner, y'all. Today, we are blasting off into the cosmos with a sci-fi gem from 1984 that captured the hearts and imaginations of every arcade-loving kid. I'm talking about The Last Starfighter.
Oh, man, Mike. This movie was like the perfect wish fulfillment for every kid who ever dropped quarters into an arcade machine. Imagine all of those hours playing games actually meant something.
Right? Instead of my mom yelling that I was wasting my life, I could have been like, "No, Mom, I'm training to save the galaxy."
You've been playing that game for 3 hours. Yeah, and the frontier needs defending, Mom.
Right? Hey, for those who somehow missed this absolute classic, The Last Starfighter tells the story of Alex Rogan. He's a teenager living in a dusty trailer park, and he dreams of something way bigger.
He then discovers that his favorite arcade game is actually a recruiting tool for an interstellar defense force.
Hey, I was getting there. But yes, Alex becomes the last hope for the Starfight League to defeat the evil Zerg and that Codon Armada.
Before we dive deeper, let's talk stats on this intergalactic gem.
Alright, Juju, let's do that. The Last Starfighter released July 13th, 1984, y'all. It was directed by Nick Castle.
Who, fun fact, played Michael Myers in the original Halloween before becoming a director.
Yes, that's right. Hey, starring also Lance Guest as Alex Rogan, Dan O'Hurley as Greg.
The lizard-like alien navigator with the best laugh in cinema history.
Alright, Robert Preston as Centauri, and Catherine Mary Stewart as Maggie.
Budget approximately $15 million. Box office around $28.7 million.
Hey, not a blockbuster by today's standards, but it's really gained a massive cult following on home video.
And most importantly, y'all, it pioneered computer-generated imagery in a way that changed movies forever.
Yeah, absolutely. This movie and Tron were revolutionary in using CGI for entire sequences rather than just special effects.
Nice.
Alright, so Juju, what hit you first when rewatching this movie?
And you know what struck me? How perfectly they captured that feeling of being stuck. Alex watering those sad little plants outside the trailer park office, fixing everyone's TV antennas, y'all, and dreaming of college.
Yeah, the Starbright Trailer Park. Now that's an iconic name for a place whose dreams go to die.
Exactly. And there's that scene where he's playing the Starfighter arcade game, and everyone's gathered around watching him break the record. The game is literally the one exciting thing in this community.
Yeah, it's a perfect setup. The game becomes both his escape and ultimately his actual escape route.
And then boom, in comes Centauri in that crazy car that transforms into a spaceship.
Alright, Robert Preston was fantastic casting in this. He basically played the same kind of charming huckster he played in The Music Man back in the 60s, but as an alien recruiter.
I'm Centauri, invented the game, perfected it, installed it, and I've come all the way to Earth to find the man who conquered it. That delivery was chef's kiss.
Mwah. Sadly, though, it was one of his final roles, y'all. He would pass away not long after.
Yeah, but what a performance to go out on.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, let's take a second and talk about something that really blew my mind as a kid. The Beta Unit.
Yes, the robot duplicate that takes Alex's place while he's in space. That whole subplot is hilarious.
Yeah, when they're camping and he uses his super hearing to listen to one of the other guys with this girl.
Yeah. Then he tries the same moves on Maggie and pisses her off.
But seriously, the effects for that transformation scene where we see that Beta's face, man.
That was mind-blowing for 1984.
Hey, speaking of effects, we have to talk about the CGI, y'all. This movie was revolutionary.
Absolutely groundbreaking. The This was the first movie to use CGI for entire vehicles and scenes rather than just enhancements.
Yeah. The Gunstar ships, the space battles, Rylos. I mean, all computer generated at a time when that was barely a thing in Hollywood.
And they had to basically invent the technology to do it. They created a whole new division called Digital Productions just for this movie.
Yeah. The renders, like, they were so complex that each frame of the space battle took about 6 to 12 hours to complete on the Cray XMP supercomputer.
A computer that cost millions of dollars back then and had less processing power than now. Right here.
Hey, my toaster probably has more computing power.
But you know what holds up better than CGI? The practical effects and makeup. Griggs still looks fantastic.
Yeah, he really does. Dana Hurley had to sit in a makeup chair for about 4 hours every day to become this character. I mean, talk about dedication, y'all.
I've always wanted to fight a desperate battle against incredible odds.
Yes, well, good luck. Alright, we'll be right back after this short break to talk about the legacy of The Last Starfighter and why it deserves a modern sequel.
Plus, our favorite scenes and lines. Stay tuned.
Hello, y'all. Hey, y'all know me. It's your boy Mike. I want to take a second to tell you, if you live in Arkansas or Oklahoma and you need photography, check out Biggers Photograph. You can check them out on Facebook under Biggers Photograph or www.biggersphotograph.com. Other than that, let's get back. Alright, we are back with more Last Starfighter goodness.
So let's talk about that iconic arcade cabinet. Did you know they only built 4 actual working Starfighter arcade games for the movie?
Yeah, none of them were actually released to the public. Like, the game in the movie wasn't even playable. It was just footage running on a loop.
Yeah, well, one of the great tragedies of gaming history, although some dedicated fans have since created playable versions.
Yeah. The irony is that the movie was partly inspired by the success of real arcade games like Space Invaders and Defender.
It's interesting how the movie predicted the way video games would eventually be used for recruitment.
Yeah, life imitating art. But hopefully they're not secretly recruiting people to fight in actual space wars.
Not yet, anyway. You know what I love about this movie? The relationship between Alex and Greed. It's this perfect buddy dynamic.
Right? Absolutely. They build this wonderful friendship in the cockpit of the Gunstar.
Yeah, their buddy chemistry is great.
Hey, and if that isn't worth fighting for, then nothing is, really.
Oh, and we can't forget the amazing score by Craig Safon.
That theme is really heroic. Like, it perfectly captures that wide-eyed wonder of space adventure.
It's up there with the great sci-fi scores of the 80s. Maybe not John Williams level, but definitely in that heroic adventure vein.
Yeah, and let's take a second and talk about the villains. You got Xur and the Cold Dawn Armada.
Xur was peak 80s villain cheese in the best possible way.
Norman Snow played him with such delicious, over-the-top menace.
We've been betrayed. Betrayed. Classic 80s villain setup for a sequel that never happened.
Hey, speaking of which, there have been sequel rumors for decades.
So many false starts. Seth Rogen was attached to a reboot at one point.
Harry Whitta, who wrote Rogue One, apparently wrote a sequel script that never got made.
Lance Guest and Catherine Mary Stewart have both said they would return. Make it happen, Hollywood.
Yeah, make it happen. The timing really seems perfect now with all the 80s nostalgia and the technology to do it right, so let's go.
Imagine a sequel where Alex's kid gets recruited, where he has to come out of retirement for one last mission.
Hey, legacy sequels are all it's about right now. Top Gun Maverick really proved that they can be amazing when done right.
We should start a petition.
Alright, let's wrap up with our favorite moments, Juju. You go ahead and go first.
It's small, But I love when Alex first arrives on Rylos and is totally overwhelmed by all the alien species. His face is perfect.
Definitely. Mine has to be the Death Blossom sequence. When Greg activates that special weapon and the Gunstar starts spinning around, firing in all directions, that music's playing. I mean, pure cinema magic, guys.
Oh yes. What do? We
die.
Then that little smirk from Craig. Perfect.
Hey, I also love when Alex returns to Earth and has to decide whether he wants to stay or go back to space.
Maggie basically makes the decision for him by jumping in the spaceship. Girl knew what she wanted.
Things change. Always do. And off they go to the stars. Well, that about wraps it up for our nostalgic journey through The Last Starfighter.
If you haven't seen it, what are you waiting for? It's a perfect time capsule of the 80s sci-fi optimism.
And if you have seen it, go watch it again. It really holds up surprisingly well. Cheesiness and all.
As always, we want to hear from you. What are your favorite moments from The Last Starfighter?
Yeah, drop a comment below or hit us on social media. Next week,
We'll be discussing another childhood favorite.
wait, don't tell them. We'll let them find out next week. Alright, it will be another 80s or 90s classic with an awesome storyline.
Oh yes. Compliance.
Hey, until next time, remember the words of Centauri. Greetings, Starfighter. You have been recruited by the Starfleet
to defend the frontier against
Earth and the Codon Armada. Alright.
Do you think if I got really good at Galaga, aliens would recruit me?
With your scores, we would all be doomed.